Mario Kart is a game full of chaos and absolute fun. The amount of content in each game keeps expanding in each new release, which only benefits both newer and veteran players alike. Out of all the games in the franchise, the one that got the biggest reception from the community was Mario Kart Wii. This game was crazy popular with so many people, and it birthed an entire dedicated scene that, albeit it's a bit niche, is also extremely dedicated. Modding in games isn't something that is new. Games have been modified for several different reasons in the past, and usually are just to give the game new content that's made by fans. With games like Smash Bros. Brawl getting an entire scene dedicated to it for modding and even competitive play. There was Project M and Brawl Minus, which helped fill that niche for modding in those games. But what if I told you there was a modding scene for Mario Kart that was in Wii? Welcome to Days of the Races, where me and my friend Sporadic get to take a look back on the Mario Kart games that have been released and just talk about our feelings on each title. We are going back in time through each release from 8 all the way to the very first title. This time, however, we are covering a modded version of Mario Kart Wii, known as Custom Track Grand Prix, or better known as CTGP.
What started out as a sandbox texture hack made by two brothers would eventually turn into one of the biggest and most well-known custom track distributions to date. Some of the earliest known custom tracks and texture hacks, we'll get to that soon, were thought of and created by two brothers known as Mr. Bean 35000 VR and Chatters. The oldest known texture hack, Mario Sandpit 3, was released in late December of 2008. 3 months later, two custom tracks were brought to fruition: Test Circle and Lava Canyon. Test Circle was just that, the title was pretty self-explanatory. Lava Canyon was the first fully playable custom track. Eventually they found out how to gain access to and replace most of the 32 tracks with custom tracks. Name of that revolutionary revolution pack? CTGP 2.8. Having been released before 2011, this pack housed 28 custom tracks over the original 32 tracks. Some of the most notable ones were Luigi's Island, which only appeared in the now defunct SFP server and in certain packs, Haunted Woods, the vision of an abandoned DS Peach Gardens, Wario's Lair, back when it was known as N64 Wario Stadium, and Cartwood Creek, a track that has been revised many a time and is still in the CTGP roster to the date. In 2011, Bean and Chatters both figured out something groundbreaking: custom track slots. With that in mind, they whipped up CTGP 4.4, including the tracks from version 2.8. 4.4 has a second layer of tracks alongside it. Notable tracks include Bowser Jr.'s Fort, DS Waluigi Pinball, and even Star Slope. 7 months later, it turns out everything had changed. New menu layout, or custom slots allowing more tracks, online support, and an updated name: Custom Track Grand Prix Revolution, or just CTGPR. The rest is history. Let's look at some of the many tracks and hacks and edits inside CTGP and out of it.
So the biggest things in Mario Kart modding for me were the custom tracks. When we discussed the tracks in the last Mario Kart retrospective in Wii, I talked about them pretty highly, since most, if not all, were extremely fun and memorable. But I honestly can say that I enjoy these community-made courses a lot more. As someone who loved the idea of custom stages in Project M, this was right up my alley, and it was a blast going through a good portion of CTGP's courses. I never got super into playing these courses until recently though, but I always looked forward to seeing videos of new tracks being made from the ground up. The amount of creativity some tracks have is quite astonishing, and I would argue can be more fun than the vanilla tracks in Wii. I always remember hopping on the wikis just to see what new tracks are being made, and even remember asking Sporadic about certain tracks I had major interests in back then. I never modded my Wii back in the day, so he was my way into seeing and even playing some of these custom tracks firsthand. There were nights where we would just sit in a Discord call, or Skype, and just go through the wiki, where we rambled on and on about certain tracks being made, or even ideas for additional things in tracks. Just seeing courses like Incendia Castle, Six King Labyrinth, and even Melting Magma Melee really just blew my mind, and playing them was just as exciting and a breath of fresh air compared to the usual Mario Kart track.
There was, and still is, so much in terms of custom tracks that I know for a fact I'll never be able to run through every single one of them. Matter of fact, a lot of my free time back in high school was spent mixing and matching what custom tracks would work best with what vehicle, finding out which ones worked in-game or not, learning the layouts of the tracks, finding out shortcuts, and many other odds and ends that I could go on for at least an hour. I'm not going to say that there's a track for every idea there is, but there are a good many of those ideas that have been done. Trust me, there's a track of a slot car circuit, an actual desktop course, a time trial exclusive with no texturing whatsoever, a straight shot that takes 6 hours to complete, the electric shredder, Area 28, and undiscovered off-limit. If you know the last 3, you know. If not, I recommend you look them up and you'll see exactly why I said them by name instead of describing them. Now keep this in mind, I'm not even touching on the other various packs out there. The Variety Pack, the MK Wii Hack Pack, Character Kart Wii, Formula Kart Wii. Will we cover those? Don't know. But I just really wanted to shout out to those and all the other custom track packs. They're all equally freaking awesome. I'm also not even going into custom characters, vehicles, objects, and battle arenas. That's a completely different conversation for a completely different day. All of that leads to the one track that I'll let Virtual take over for, Canyon Run.
So, Canyon Run is my all-time favorite custom track in all of CTGP, and that is saying a lot for me. I went through a pack Sporadic sent me, which had quite the course selection in it, spanning over various types of custom courses that I had a blast running through. But this one in particular caught me off guard when I ran through it. Canyon Run is like a mix of Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii and Dingo Canyon from Crash Team Racing. Weird combo, I know, but hear me out. The actual race itself takes place on a highway going through a canyon, with the highway street signs, spinies, and even hot air balloons that you can use a trick off of. Unlike a good portion of custom tracks though, this track is actually very short, which works for me since I tend to enjoy trialing shorter tracks compared to some of the longer ones, honestly. The overall layout and learning curve for this track, surprisingly, was not that bad, and I took a day to truly time trial it, and I was having some of the most fun I had in Mario Kart in a long while. Just putting on some fast-paced music while racing through this course just gives off a giant burst of energy for me, compared to most other tracks, and I can't point out why, it just feels fun to play, I guess? Case in point, you should all play Canyon Run if you can, either on Mario Kart Wii, or even on Mario Kart 8. Enough said.
There are also tracks with very interesting stories behind them, as well as a lot of tracks with a lot of history behind them. I mentioned a few of them earlier, but a couple more with history behind them are Pipe Underworld and Volcanic Skyway. That doesn't even cover the tracks that were ported to MKWii from other games, like Diddy Kong Racing, past and future Mario Kart games, Super Mario Sunshine, Pac-Man World Rally, Crash Team Racing. There was even a track after a CS 1.6 map even. And if that ain't enough for some people, then I've got to bring up the track edits. Some tracks, by the way, have edited gameplay mechanics, usually to make a course harder to run through. The two that I instantly think of are Penalty Gorge and Ghost Valley 2 Hard Edition. Penalty Gorge, as the title suggests, has penalties for doing certain things at the cost of your lap not counting. For instance, if you do not clear the cave section and actually fall through, you will respawn at the starting line and your lap will not count. Ghost Valley 2 Hard version. The less said about that specific layer of hell, the better.
So have you ever played Mario Kart and thought, man, I really sure wish I could have the entire Persona soundtrack play over every course in the game? Well, if you have had that thought, or something similar, you are in luck, because custom music is something that can be implemented into CTGP. Personally, I never really saw the point of custom music in games, since you can just play music in the background while you play, but the novelty and idea alone of being able to put some of these songs in your favorite games is neat. But as great as custom music is, it isn't the easiest thing to get working on CTGP, and honestly, I don't have much experience in implementing music in games other than Project M, which makes this process much easier as far as I remember.
As someone who's done it enough to not be an issue anymore, I'll be the first to admit that it wasn't an easy skill for me to pick up at first. Let me explain, cause I've got a bit of a story for this one. It was late summer of 2015, about to start my 3rd year of high school. This was around the time where CTGP 1.03 had a massive update. 50 tracks had been added in place of 50 old tracks. The automatic updater from the CTGP channel took well over an hour to install every bit of that update if you didn't dump the file onto the SD card first. I spent the entire night picking out what song to use, what track to put it over, learn the right file names, get the right software, and get it on my laptop. I was knee deep into the research and making sure everything was right. I was also mixing around the many mods I had at the same time, seeing what went well together and what didn't work. And that was when my CTGP files corrupted. The first time. Fine, whatever. I let the update happen again, it just gave me more time to do more research and download many more mods for later experiments. I got the game loaded up again and it turns out I didn't amplify the music enough to clearly hear it in game. Okay, I let that slide. I got it working, I know what to do now. Keep in mind, I never did once think to download that massive as hell update and stick it onto the SD card, and I stayed up all night to work on this. I refused to lay my head that night until I got that custom music to work. Damn it! I fixed up the audio and got everything else set up properly, and the files got corrupted sometime between being taken out of my laptop and going into my Wii. 3 attempts at this under my belt, 2 hours burned through, and 1 spotty internet connection at the time made for 1 scatterbrained and very irritated sporadic. However, it all paid off when I heard the custom music playing on Maple Tree Way. So much so that I didn't bother to turn anything off and knocked out for 18 hours straight. Honestly, it was worth it in the end as far as I was concerned.
What if instead of wanting to choose a bunch of songs, you wanted preloaded music packs to put in the game to save you all the hassle? Because sure, being able to pick and choose exactly what songs you want is great, but having to change all the files to BRSTM format, and then make sure they loop, and get the game just right, can be daunting, and even annoying to those that mod the game a lot more often. This isn't even touching the fact that some tracks have a multitude of BRSTM audio channels, which is an entirely different process that, in itself, can be very difficult. So this is why having music packs being an option can really help out in the long run, and help either ease people into modding the game, or save lots of time from converting files and the like. Each music pack that I have seen is themed to certain games, like Breath of the Wild and even Twisted Metal. But most packs I see floating around are just named after the creator and have songs they think would fit in the actual game over certain tracks, and some of them are really solid choices. But even then, you can cherry pick which songs you want from the pack by taking certain files out if for some reason you want to do that. I have thought of making one of these packs myself and would love to theme it around Persona 4 or even Persona 4 Dancing. Just so many of the songs and remixes found in these games could fit over lots of courses in Mario Kart Wii, and as a fan of that OST, it only makes sense. As a whole, the time and energy it takes to implement custom music in Mario Kart Wii can be a large amount, but it is worth it since you can jam out to some of your favorite songs while you race. Even if, yes, you can just mute the TV and have music playing elsewhere, there is still something so rewarding to having to go through an entire process to get certain songs to work. Whether it's just by dragging and dropping a music pack into the root of the SD card, or by converting actual music that you want in the game. Either way, it's a very cool feature in CTGP, and overall, makes the package as a whole much more enjoyable. Nintendo Wii's Wi-Fi servers were shut down on May 20th, 2014, and it impacted the growth of the Mario Kart Wii community quite a bit due to the fact that online races in the game were extremely popular and a great way to connect with others in that game. Whether it was for competitive play or even casual races, the servers being alive was the biggest thread that kept players coming back that didn't have the luxury of being able to play locally. The whole situation made a dent in this exact day as remembered by those who fondly enjoyed playing not only Mario Kart Wii on the Wi-Fi, but other games as well. But what if I told you that the community for this game brought the servers back to life? Would you believe me if I said they Frankensteined this game and helped keep this game alive? Because guess what? They did.
Exactly 10 days before the Nintendo Wi-Fi server shut down, Wii and Lazarette put out patches for the newly made WeamFi servers, and since then, WeamFi has been accessible ever since. 7 days before WeamFi was released, Mr. Bean put out an alternative to the battle mode online, lovingly dubbed Countdown Mode. This new game mode basically has everyone running the course, but it isn't exactly a normal race against the other people. You have to race against the clock, whilst making sure you gain the most ground. Everyone has a separate timer they go by, and to gain more time, they need to bombard their rivals with items. Once your own clock is run out, your race is over. However, that doesn't mean everyone stops though. Other people can still gain points, time, and ground on you while you're immobile. Maximum amount of points you can have at one time during a race is 10, displayed by an axe on the screen. By then, you best haul ass. The more ground you can gain, the better your ranking will be when the race does finally come to an end. I usually only play Countdown on a special occasion, but to tell you the truth, I haven't been online in general for quite a while now since scripting this. Another aspect that returned along with WeamFi is time trial support. I wouldn't know about any other packs, but in older versions of CTGP, you were actually not able to run time trials. If you did, in fact, finish one, the game would freeze mid-transition between the time trial results and the top 5 records. Now, you can run through as many as you want to. There's an entire database built for time trial ghosts for virtually, no pun intended, every custom track ever made and time trialed on. Literally, all of them. Melting Magma Melee, Nightlife Party, The Chamber, Mansion of Madness, Aquatropolis, Lava Flow Volcano, Lava Canyon, the original Green Hill Zone, Nightmare, Crazy Mountain, Universe Sand Soil, Abe Abbott Raceway, Retro Raceway, codenamed Life. I can name off hundreds, and I do mean hundreds of tracks. The database now made it possible to also download ghosts from around the world onto your SD card and try to beat them. That's only the half of this section.
With time trials and countdown out of the way, the next things that come to mind are 200cc and Item Rain. Both of these modes were unexpected for me, but having them even be options is great, suffice to say. Let's tackle 200cc first. Mario Kart 8 introduced 200cc, which took the game and truly sped it up to the max. The difference between 150 and 200 is super noticeable, and it made running through races in that game much more fast-paced and fun. Almost similar to F-Zero for that matter. But in January 2019, it was officially implemented in CTGP, and took the 32 courses we knew from Mario Kart Wii, and even the custom tracks, and made them even faster than ever before. And it wasn't even intended. This was great and all, but one thing that was a major side effect was new shortcuts throughout all the courses, including the custom ones. Some can be super simplistic and basic, but others can be turned into ultra shortcuts that look absolutely insane. This CC was well implemented despite the game not ever being intended to be played at this speed. There are even 400cc and 9999cc, which are extremely fast. For once, the Quacker goes at a decent speed, fast enough to have a chance to grab items too. Who would have thought? Oh look, it's raining. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Item Rain. This is the most chaotic mode that I have ever seen implemented in a Mario Kart game. You guys think Baby Park is chaotic? Wait until you see this.
Choosing Baby Park is a declaration of war. Change my mind.
This mode was added to CTGP in May of 2018, and truly was a very unique mode to flesh out and make races even more fun. Several courses such as Moo Moo Meadows became much trickier with every item in the game falling from the sky. It makes positioning and timing of the item uses that much more important to winning races. There are even speedruns that go through all of these courses with Item Rain turned on. That in itself is completely insane. Granted, it isn't a very popular category, but it's still fun to see a few people try new strategies and hope for good luck during races. Because trust me, Item Rain requires a lot of luck. And I mean a lot of it. Like 200cc, this can also apply for custom tracks as well, which takes the mode to an entire new level. Whether it's skill or luck, both 200cc and Item Rain can be extremely fun and difficult. These modes, even with a bunch of quality of life changes made to this day, really help flesh out CTGP as a whole. Modding in games has been around for so long, and seeing various communities come together to enhance a game has always been fun for me. Mario Kart Wii has been one of the most fun games to see modified, and CTGP has been a blast to see grow over the years. I never really played it as much as sporadic, but I always try to keep up with the creations the community makes. Years of work have been put into making this game play as great as it is today. With so many creators and players, CTGP has truly become the definitive Mario Kart Wii experience. Or, for that matter, a definitive Mario Kart experience.